Hello everyone, welcome to the Roblox video. Today, as you can probably see by the title and the thumbnail, I'm going to be going ahead and showing you how to build a good blue hive. So yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, there are three types of blue hives. There's the early game blue hives, the mid game blue hives, and the end game blue hives. So early game would be like just 0 to like 30 bees. Mid game would be like 30 to 40 without a Supreme Star Amulet. And then end game obviously would be like 45 to 50 bees with a Supreme Star Amulet. Now, this is just my opinion, of course, but early to mid game, it's actually not worth having a specific colored hive. It's just, you want to just get a mixed hive so you can do quests easier and a whole bunch of other stuff, right? Because that's what you're going to need to focus on when you're early game. However, late game, you know, like me, obviously your pretty much only goal is honey game. So a specified hive is more important. So yeah, so we're going to be going over end game hives. Early and mid-game hives, just get blue bees if you really want to make one. But like I said, in my opinion, it's better just to have a mixed hive for those, for early and mid-game. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it, I guess. So, now, this is currently my hive. Now, if you have 50 bees, great, just copy this through and through. But, you know, most people do not have 50 bee slots. So, we're going to go ahead and go over the specifics and, you know, why everything is important. And then I'll go ahead and go over what you should do if you have less than 50 bees. Now, first, let's go ahead and talk about the event bees. Now, for event bees, I have Windy Bee, Vicious Bee, Tabby Bee, Puppy Bee, Photon Bee, Gummy Bee, and Festive Bee, and Cobalt Bee. Now, I don't have Crimson Bee. Now, the reason I don't have Crimson Bee is because as a blue hive, Crimson Bee is just not that useful. I have one Red Bee, and it's not even, you know, that Red Bee is not going to be like a huge buff most of the time. So that would be the main thing you would use Crimson Bee for, right? And the only other advantage is for blue bombs to be able to take out red flowers, but of course, if you're not grinding in red fields, that's not really an issue. So yeah, you definitely are going to want to sacrifice your Crimson Bee for a more important bee. In my case, it's Tadpole Bee. And then on top of that, Puppy Bee, and a lot of you are asking, well, why do you have Puppy Bee? It's basically just so I can save honey when leveling up my bees. Puppy Bee's gifted buff is plus 20% bond from treats, which can save you a fair bit of honey, and currently I'm working on leveling my bees, so that's pretty important for me. So yeah, that's why I have gifted Puppy Bee in my hive. But you know, if you don't plan on leveling up your bees, then you could go ahead and sacrifice Puppy Bee for, again, another Tadpole Bee. Now, let's go ahead and look at the amulet real quick. Supreme Star Amulet. Now, the passive that makes the blue hive really good is Pop Star. If you don't have Pop Star, your blue hive, it's not going to be that amazing. Now, what Pop Star does is it gives you up to a 7 times blue field capacity buff. And I've been able to get billions of capacity with it. I had a video a while back where I converted like 8 billion honey, 8 billion pollen at the honey wreath over here and got like 80 billion honey in one thing or something insane like that. So yeah, capacity is crucial. That's what makes blue so good. It's just the insane amount of capacity you get from Pop Star. Now, if you have a double passive, I recommend getting Gummy Star. You could also get Star Saw, but I personally enjoy Gummy Star because it's good if you're doing boosts to have those gumdrops and getting that buff for the Gummy Star. Along with that, you obviously get the honey tokens after the Gummy Star pops, which is what makes Gummy Star so good, but that's white hives. I might do a video on that later. Let me know down below if you want me to make videos on this for like white and red hives. But yeah, so that's the kind of Supreme Star Amulet you want. You obviously want blue pollen, and blue pollen and instant conversion are the most crucial things. Other things that are good are critical chance, normal pollen, and ability rate. Now, this is my amulet. Now, granted, it's a double passive. It's a decent double passive. It could be better. It could have ability rate is the main thing that it could have that's better. If you're going for a single passive, I would recommend getting ability rate and sacrificing pollen for bees or something like that. But I personally am a big fan of this amulet. As for the other amulets, I mean, obviously you want to try and focus on things that are good, like blue pollen and all that. But if you know, it's a bit hard to get really good of the other amulets. So if you can't, then, you know, you get what you get. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the Mythic Bees. Now, obviously, the Mythic Bees that you want are Tadpole Bees, and then you're going to want about 3 Fuzzy Bees, ideally gifted. This is to make sure that you can grind, you know, get really high pollen flowers in the lower fields, as Fuzzy Bees are crucial for basically any hive type. But you're not going to want any Spicy or Vector Bees, because their abilities are not useful for a blue hive. Some people might say Vector Hives are useful, but, you know, for me personally, Vector Bees are definitely not worth sacrificing in exchange for some Tadpole Bees. Now, I recommend getting as many Tadpole Bees as possible. My hive currently is 16, And I would recommend, if you cannot get 16 tadpole bees, obviously, because this costs a ton of honey to get, then I would recommend replacing them with bubble bees, because they do have the bubble chance and the blue bombs, which are pretty nice for Popstar. So yeah, if you're obviously unable to get 16 tadpole bees, because that's pretty insane, I would recommend getting Popstar instead. However, before you start making your blue hive completely, I would recommend getting at least 4 to 5 tadpoles, because without that, it's not horrible, but it definitely is not as good as it could be. Let's go and talk about legendary bees. Now, for my hive, I have 1 gifted diamond bee, 3 gifted music bees, and 5 gifted ninja bees. Now, for these, I just recommend having these for the haste and focus. It is pretty crucial for a blue hive. The gifted diamond bee is for the diamond mask ability, diamond drain, plus 50% per gifted blue bee type. That is what the gifted diamond bee is for. Now, a lot of you might be saying, well, what about gifted baby bee? Well, I actually found out the other day that how loot luck works in the game is for every 100% loot luck you have, it re-rolls the loot. So if you get better loot, then it'll give you that instead of the lower loot. So, turns out, with the gifted baby bee buff, the plus 25% loot luck, I wasn't actually getting enough luck to give me another roll, so it actually ended up not being worth it for me. For you, it could be different, in which case I would recommend replacing one of your tadpole bees with the gifted baby bee for that extra loot luck. But of course, and the other advantage would be the baby love, but I have several gifted tadpoles. So again, if you also don't have a bunch of gifted tadpoles, then you could use loot luck instead for the baby bee instead for the baby love. Now, as for epic bees, obviously we're going to have all the gifted blue bees, Frosty, Bucko, and Bubble. You're going to want Commander Bee for the critical chance ability, and then obviously several bubbles for the blue bomb. I actually sacrificed a couple bubbles in exchange for the ninjas, but if you don't have as many tadpoles, then I would recommend, having more bubbles and possibly like 3 or 4 ninjas instead of 5, and having like 6 or 7 bubble bees if you don't have as many tadpoles as I do. As for the rare bees, obviously I have Bumble and Cool Bee, again for the gifted, for the diamond drain ability because of the gifted bees. And then I have Hasty Bee for the plus 20% player move speed, pretty good in my opinion. And I have gifted Looker Bee for the critical power. Now a lot of you might be saying, well, what about gifted Stubborn Bee? Gifted Stubborn Bee is pretty good with its 20% ability token lifespan. Well, fun fact of the day, that doesn't actually work. That ability doesn't do anything. Kinda sucks, but doesn't do anything. So if you have this for its gifted ability in any hive, just get rid of it. It's not useful at all. So yeah, you're definitely not going to want that. And then finally, of course, we have gifted basic bee for the times 1.2 pollen. And yeah, that is it. Like I said, if you have less bee slots, just get less tadpoles. If you can't get as many tadpoles, bubbles. But the key components are, of course, the tadpoles, the ninjas, and the bubbles for the blue bombs to activate Popstar. The Popstar ability, and then the tadpoles to produce the bubbles for the Popstar ability. But yeah, that is it. So if you're wanting to build your blue hive, follow this, and obviously don't listen purely to me. If you can find other people that say things different and have good reasons for getting those different hives, then, go with that. But this is what I have in my blue hive, and it's what works for me, and it's what I would recommend you use as well. Yeah, that is actually going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, like and subscribe. I have channel memberships and Roblox merch down below in the description. Neither are required, but both are heavily appreciated and support both me and the channel. And yeah, that'll be it. Thanks for watching. Peace.